الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع ذنوبنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد صلوات الله محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد فقد قال الله في كتابه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. صلوات على محمد وآل Muhammad. The verse of the Quran which I've just read comes from Surah Al-Ankabut, which comes in the 20th chapter of the Quran. Those of us who have been, or those of you who have been reading the Quran may have read it over the last few nights. And it's also a surah which is associated with the 23rd night of the Layali al-Qadr. And so you may read it in the next few nights. So I thought I could take this chance to just share some thoughts of some of the themes which come about. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Some of the themes which come about in this, which come about in this beautiful surah of the Quran. So the surah starts with this very, very provocative statement. Yeah, it says, "Ahasab an-nasu." It says, does mankind really think that they can simply say, I believe, amanna, and they won't be tested? Okay, do we think it's an easy way out? Do you just say, I'm a Muslim, I believe in God, and I won't be tested? Now the immediate context of the revelation seems to be during the Meccan period of Rasulullah sallallahu wasallam alayhi. And there's various reports, some saying it's about Ammar bin Yasir and other early companions who were being severely harassed for no other reason than their acceptance of the Prophet as the messenger of God and that there is no God other than God. These people couldn't live. It wasn't some sort of harassment or discrimination or some superficial taunts, some snidey comments. Yeah, a sense of, not full inclusion. These people were being severely tormented. Some of them were being tortured. Some of them lost their lives. And the Quran responds and says, أَحَسَبَ النَّاسُ أَن يَتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يَفْتَنُونَ. That does humankind think that simply by saying you believe, you won't be tested? Now, of course, the tests and trials, the sense of fitna is not something specific to that time or to that case of the test of maintaining one's belief. We know as ordinary human beings living in our own bubbles of life that we're inundated with tests and trials. And these are very relative to the individual. Even when we look within, say, I'm troubled at work, I'm troubled at home, I'm having difficulties in my employment, I'm having difficulties with my income, I'm having difficulties with my relationships. I might have health issues. I might have psychological issues. Difficulties and trials. I might have issues with my friends. That they're no longer treating me in the way that I feel is befitting. Psychologically, despite us being in such privileged circumstances, and I can say that without a shadow of a doubt looking around the room, no matter that each of us may have very, very different personal circumstances. Each of us is so exceptionally privileged. We only have to flick the channels on our TV screen to see how privileged we are. Yet on the personal level, the psychological torment of our own difficulties cannot be denied. Each one of us is tested. Each one of us is trialed. And simply saying, I believe, doesn't give me the solution. A passive acknowledgement of belief is not the answer. Look, this surah continues And he seems to be giving ease to those people like Ammar bin Yasir, saying that, look, even the prophets were trialed. It mentions Hazrat Nuh, it mentions Hazrat Musa, it mentions Rasulullah himself. It says even those corrupt people were trialed, the people of Ad, the people of Thamud. Look, each and every one on the face of this planet is going to be tested, is going to be trialed. We have our own difficulties. Simply saying, I believe, as a verbal profession, is not going to wave a magic wand. Some of you may have saw the statements of the Pope this week. Said that God isn't a God with a magic wand. He was talking in the context of the Big Bang and evolution and these types of things. He said that God isn't a God with a magic wand. This is in a different context. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that simple profession of belief isn't going to stop these tests and trials. No, but an active profession of belief, an active engagement with this religion can be a beautiful means for us to navigate these everyday difficulties, these everyday trials. Deeply connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actively engaging with His beautiful teachings. They don't remove the trial. They don't wave a magic wand. They are meant to assist us navigate these difficulties day in, day out. The ayah of the Surah Al-Qabut goes on to say, وَمَنْ جَاهَدَ فَإِنَّمَا يُجَاهِدُ لِنَفْسِهِ. It says, whoever struggles, look, the test and the trial will continue. Saying you believe isn't going to stop the test and trial. Simply saying you believe isn't going to stop the test and trial. But the one who struggles, the one who engages with an active process of faith, the benefit returns to him and to her. It's the opportunity for us to grow through this reality of life, described in the traditions of Ahlul Bayt as Dar al-Bala wal-Inqita. The very abode of difficulty and withering. In a report reported from Abul Hassan salawatullahi wasalamu alayhi, he was asked, what's this fitna? What's this fitna that this verse of the Quran is talking about? It says fitna is like the purification of gold. It's how gold becomes pure. You have an iron core. You have a metal core. Well, probably got chemists here who know better than me. It's a dirty metal. It's a dirty heavy metal. It has no value in and of itself. Yet through process of heat and pressure, it becomes this beautiful ornament, which humans adorn themselves with. This is the fitna, according to the words of the Ahlul Bayt. This is the test and the trial, which is meant to be a means for us if we actively engage in the faith. Look, simply saying I believe doesn't help. Simply saying I believe actually gives me more burden, because then I have to fast, then I have to pray. Okay? The superficial profession of faith is destructive. Hussein ibn Ali salawatullahi wasalamu alayhi, he's reported to have said, inna nas abid ad-dunya. The humankind, these are the ones who are devoted to the world, not God. وَالدِّينَ لَعِكٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. And the religion is simply hanging on their tongues. كَلَّا الدَّيَّانُونَ. Those who are deeply committed to the faith are few and far between. Look, through a deep, active connection with God. Okay, an active process of religious practice is meant to help us traverse the reality of these difficulties that we face. The Mufassirin have said that, look, this verse points to it this surah points to it very, very clearly, that this sharia is meant to be instrumental for us. It's meant to assist us in the process. It's not the end game to say, Amanna billah. It's the beginning. It's there to assist us. Later on, the very same surah Al-Qabut, it says, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Gives us a beautiful example of this. That look, the prayer is intended to be a means of pushing away corruption, of pushing away vice, of moving us towards that godly pedestal. It's supposed to help us interact, help us engage with our friends, help us with our employees, help us with our employers, help us engage with those who are isolated in the community. It's not simply that I sit on the prayer mat at night, spend my hours crying and the next day go and abuse somebody. No, this is an empty belief. It won't help me. It won't help me. It doesn't solve my problem. But the deep connection to faith can take me to the highest of heights, can take me to being no less than godly itself. Look at this beautiful practice of song. This beautiful practice of song. Simply the physical restraint. It's amazing. If we think about it at the beginning of this month, at least I can say I was daunted. I was daunted. Okay, some people, alhamdulillah, they look forward to it. Okay, no, we all look forward to it in some ways, but at least I'll be honest, it was daunting. Okay, yet we look around and we see throughout the world, some people with long days, some people with short days, some people with intense heat, some people laboring in fields, some people doing brain surgery. They fasted. They've given charity. It's remarkable. Look at the strength in the Muslim individual. If only we could harness this and take it forward into our moral disposition, into our interaction with the world, into our interaction with each other, we're capable of remarkable things. Look, this fasting, even at the very, very simple physical level, gives us an opportunity of huge development, allows us to recognize our own potentials. But of course, the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt warned us of not fasting simply from hunger and thirst. And the fast of the elect, or those whose body and hair and limbs all fast in the way of God. And it becomes a means for their moral development. There's a report that the Prophet ﷺ saw a lady cursing her employee. Okay, cursing her maid. And the Prophet went to her and she was fasting. The Prophet went to her and offered her food. And the lady said, "I'm fasting." The Prophet said, "How can you be fasting when you're cursing this woman?" Of course, it was, the jurists have said the jurists have said that this is must have been a mustahab fast. Otherwise, I think we would all need to break our fast right now, because I lose my temper a lot. Okay, but the point is here, Rasulullah was teaching us something. That look, the fast which doesn't go beyond the surface is meaningless. It's intended to take us somewhere. It's intended to us to help us navigate those difficult situations. Look, there must have been something which actually wound up that lady for her to curse her employee. People don't just curse for the sake of it. Either there's something bothering them, it may be something else, it may not be that particular situation. Or it was the result of that particular situation. Maybe her employee genuinely was being unreasonable, was being ineffective, was doing something unacceptable. But what's Rasulullah saying? Saying, look, this connection to God, which you're supposed to be achieving through your fast, means that you ought to be able to deal with that situation in the best of ways. Respond with dignity. Respond with godliness. The next level of the fast, the first is the level of just simple restraint, which has this amazing potential. The next level is this level of fasting which is filtered through to our limbs. It prevents us from cursing, helps us to treat each other in the best of ways, protects our eyes, protects our ears. And then the fast of the elect is the one who restrains himself from everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now this sounds very strange to the likes of me and you. How can we restrain ourselves from everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? But at one level, what does it mean? It means simply do not put our hopes and our fears in anything other than God. Look, the reality of the test and the trial of life is there. Simply saying, I believe doesn't help. The active engagement of faith, however, can help us navigate this difficult path. And relying on anything other than God will make no difference. Because anything other than God offers no real support. Anything other than God offers no real hope. It's purely imaginal. That which is with God is lasting. Everything else perishes. The verse of the Quran, Surah Al-Ankabut, it says, مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ اتَّخِذَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ كَمَثَلِ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ. It says, look, those who take protectors other than God, those who are putting their hopes and fears and aspirations in other than God, it's like they've taken the house of a spider, which doesn't protect from heat, it doesn't protect from rain, it doesn't protect from fire. It's the frailest of houses. The surah ends with a beautiful call again to this active process of faith and a promise. It says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. It says, whosoever struggles in our way, this active process of faith, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلُنَا. Then surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide him to his ways. All we need is to take the active process and leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises us that He will be with those who are the doers of good. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا تستوي الحسنة ولا السيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. صلوات الله محمد وآل Muhammad. You know, despite this call for, an active personal engagement with faith. Okay, so we're saying that, look, this reality of the test and the trial of life is there. There's no way to get away from it. All right? We're lucky that our tests and trials are so limited. But there's no way to get out of this psychological torment of this world. All right? And in the previous khutbah, we've been calling for this personal engagement with God, this active process of religiosity to move us in our development, our personal development in this journey. Now, having said that this call of the Quran is first and foremost to a personal development, building our relationship with God and seeking to develop ourselves, it doesn't mean that the Quran, the message of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, is telling us to be passive in response to those external challenges. You know, so how we actually deal with the challenge isn't just about what's inside. We have to respond. Okay, we have to engage with what's going on around us. And when we look, even just locally here in the UK, we say it's been a very, very outside of my bubble. Okay, outside of my family and my health and my traumas and my difficulties and my friends and my social circumstances. As soon as I look beyond, we say, yes, it's been a very difficult time these last few months. Close to home, whether it's people being killed through terrorist attacks or whether it's these, horrifying scenes that we're seeing in London currently with the burning of this building. Of course, when it's closer to home, we feel it more. But these troubles are happening throughout. Last night we heard of a bomb in Kabul, in the biggest Shia mosque in Kabul in Afghanistan, with many deaths. Throughout the world, there is trouble outside. There is problems outside. How do we respond? The Quran, the Ahlul Bayt, they give us a beautiful guideline. That look, if we're faced with discrimination, if we're faced with exclusion, if we're faced with isolation, how do we respond? The verse of the Quran which I mentioned is repeated in different forms through the Quran, actually. It says, Evil is not the same as goodness. Badness is not the same as goodness. You can't equate the two. That which is wrong isn't equal to that which is right. Undeniably, every human can understand the difference between wrong and right. How to respond though to these wrongs? Said, idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Says, respond. Yes, take a step, but always respond in a way which is better. So if I'm faced with exclusion, I should seek to engage more. If we're thrown into conflict, then we should be the seekers of peace. If there's deprivation, then we should become the most charitable of people. Idfa' billati hiya ahsan. Never respond like with like. Always respond with that which is better. Always be on the moral high ground. Always seek to take the godly course of action. Now it's easy for the likes of me to say this. In practice, this is not a joke. That when we're treated badly, at the very least we wish is to respond in turn. It's okay, I won't go beyond, but at least I will respond in turn. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that no, you go beyond. Respond with that which is better. Respond with beauty. And this is the way of the Prophet salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. And this is the way of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And on this day is worth mentioning a few examples of Imam Ali, who despite being so severely tested and trialed, always seemed to respond to the difficulty, to the torment, in the best of ways. Look, whether he was spat on the face on a battlefield. In the heat of battle, somebody spat in his face. Did he spit back? He stepped away. On the plains of Siffin, when his people were denied access to water. This is not a joke. He's being denied access to water, not just him, his people, his followers, a mass of people. They've had to struggle to reclaim their right to access to water. How does he respond? Did he respond in turn? No. He responded with that which was better. Even at the very end, when he was struck so brutally in the mihrab of the mosque, uncalled for, this master of orphans, the one who was at the, so inclusive, the one engaging those who are vulnerable in society, the disenfranchised. This was Imam Ali's rock. This is the one who's slaughtered alone, sitting in the mihrab. How did he respond? He gave his killer every dignity. He gave his killer every right. He took the godly course of action. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this beautiful month, on these blessed days and these blessed nights, that despite our personal difficulties which are real, the social difficulties which we face as a nation, those global challenges which we face as humankind, these challenges are real. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that first and foremost we can help use these teachings of his to move towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, better ourselves first and foremost, and respond to those challenges in the best of ways, in a godly way. We pray for the acceptance of everybody's hajat, for the healing of all those who are ill, and for the alleviation of the oppression which is rampant through the earth. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammadin al-Mustafa. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Aliyin al-Murtada. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Fatimah al-Zahra. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Hasan al-Mujtaba. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Hussein Shaheed bi Karbala. اللهم صل وسلم على علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف القائم المنتظر المهدي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.